Welcome back to the show. Check out these headlines. America and crypto are about to change the world, ladies and gentlemen. Another IPO and SPAC, and BRICS converts USD to Chinese yuan. Oh, do tell. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show. You can follow us on X, YouTube, and DigPerspectives.com for exclusive content. Right now, $3.82 trillion market cap for crypto. We're headed back to $4 trillion. We need to get well beyond it, right? And I think it's going to take government coming back online and getting that market infrastructure bill passed, the Clarity Act. Market's up 1.2%, 110,000 plus for Bitcoin, 3,900 plus for Ethereum. XRP number 5 spots 251 now. Look at this. We're up 4.5% in the 24. We're up 9.7 on the 7-day. Could XRP be waking up? We'll see. Ranging between 239 and 251. We're at the top side of that range, and we're happy about that at least, right? We could be happy about this too. It's XRPwealth589.com. What am I talking about? I'm talking about Caleb and Brown. This is the best crypto brokerage on the planet. Why? Because they have all the things that you would want, like, multiple layers of security. How about free institutional grade custody? Yes, it's free. How about one flat rate for trading? And that's negotiable with larger withdrawals. How about the fact that they have no hidden fees or spreads? How about the fact that you can talk to a human being while your stuff is in institutional grade custody for free? How about that? How about no more worrying if you've been hacked? How about no more worrying if my market orders were set correctly? Listen, bring peace of mind into your life. Start getting the best night's sleep you've ever had since you've been into crypto. Click the link underneath the video and get started today. XRPwealth589.com. You're going to love the experience. And look at this. Speaking of experiences, I got the opportunity. I was invited to speak at a TEDx talk in Cincinnati and join these other incredible people. You see Coach JV, you see Zen Warrior, and Johnny from Good Morning Crypto there. And then it's obviously Jamie and Chris who run the TEDx event. And I'm super grateful that I got to be a part of this and then obviously be able to support everybody else who was speaking too. I got to stay and see that. We got to spend a little time together. It was super cool. And what a wonderful experience it was. This should be out in about 3 or 4 weeks. Now, I wasn't going to put anything out there, but apparently it's already out there. So it's out there, right? So this was a super cool thing to do. And I'm hoping that we can ignite the conversation from the talks that all of us did with non-crypto people, right? Non-crypto native people. And that was the whole idea of this, is that we could start tapping into that crowd and getting that awareness for what is coming. And what is coming? Well, what is coming is the greatest embrace of innovation by any country around the world. It's America. And by the way, this is just one piece of evidence of it. President Trump pardons CZ Binance founder because he wasn't guilty. Take a listen.
People say that, are you talking about the crypto person? A lot of people say that he wasn't guilty of anything. He served 4 months in jail, and they say that he was not guilty of anything, that what he did, well, you don't know much about crypto. You know nothing about, you know nothing about nothing. You're fake news. But let me just tell you that he was somebody that, as I was told, I don't know him. I don't believe I've ever met him. But I've been told by a lot of support. He had a lot of support. And they said that what he did is not even a crime. It wasn't a crime, that he was persecuted by the Biden administration. And so I gave him a pardon at the request of a lot of very good people.
And there you have it, right? And here's the interesting part to all of this. The Biden administration witch hunt, throw him in jail, suppress crypto for 4 years. Then in the back channels of after the Genius Act is passed and signed into law, working on getting the market infrastructure bill, the Dems start to do a reverse all mode in the back channels and try to rework the Genius Act. Yes, this happened. All of this got leaked. And then in the crypto meeting with the Agriculture Committee of the Senate, there was a heat up in there where the Dems just said, "Hey, you guys are real jerks for telling on us because we were trying to pull some bull back here before the public could know about it." You know, they had 4 years to get this done. It's pathetic. It's pathetic watching this happen. You know, if the left keeps this up, you're just going to face more pain in the midterms when they come around. So, you know, help yourself if you haven't learned anything already from the presidential election. And here we have more. Senator Elizabeth Warren, who's one of the most despicable representatives in Capitol Hill, and she should be voted out immediately, Massachusetts, or should I call it Taxachusetts? She's lying, which is something that comes to her quite naturally, actually. She says CZ pleaded guilty to criminal money laundering charge and was sentenced to prison. Jeez, I mean, even Grok had to come out, and the reader and the or whatever the X is comes out and corrects her and says this is a false claim. CZ did not plead guilty to money laundering. The count was one charge of violating the Bank Secrecy Act by failing to implement an effective anti-money laundering program. That was it. And nobody's ever gone to jail for it before until then. That's who's on the left side, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we're up against. But things are going to change, and things are changing. Here is Securitize. Shout out to Carlos Domingo. Carlos, I hope you're doing well, my friend. Is going public via the SPAC, planning to be listed in public markets with the help of Cantor Fitzgerald. Securitize has integrated Ripple's Real USD into its platform, allowing investors and tokenized funds to exchange shares directly into Real USD. Securitized tokenization tools and infrastructure are directly linked to Ripple stablecoin and the XRP ledger. Remember, they are working in conjunction with the Biddle Fund and BlackRock, putting tokenized treasuries on the XRP ledger as well. Big things are coming, right? Just like DeFi itself. Shout out to Georgios Vlachos from Axelar Network, co-founder on the XRP token and MXRP, a yield-bearing liquid staked token that will change DeFi on the XRP ledger forever. Let's listen to a piece of this.
XRP, for one, is the only idle asset in the space, right? It's one of the very few assets and by far the biggest asset that has no native yield. So actually the fact that it hits such high prices is impressive in and of itself, right? It's by far the highest idle asset to hit this market cap, which also provides an opportunity. But, you know, XRP, the whole ecosystem has a lot of support. Obviously there is Ripple, which is a separate entity, but it's a core driving force behind the ecosystem. They are literally acquiring some of the biggest startups in finance. They're building an empire, and they have a lot of firepower to keep acquiring companies and build out their stack. Their stack is leveraging the XRPL, which is the underlying technology that powers XRP. So I think a lot of this drive is just driven by everything that Ripple is doing. They have a lot in the works, building a lot of new products, building a full stack solution with all the different companies they're acquiring. And I think people are just expecting that they're going to bring a lot of value back to the XRP and to the XRPL, right? So in my mind, that's a very key part of that. Just having Ripple as part of the ecosystem, I think would be a booster for any token and particularly for XRP.
Now going back to MXR.
Now let's jump in right here for a second. The rest of it's fantastic, but for the sake of the point, I like what he said. Ripple is building an empire. Ripple is building an empire, right? Look at what they've done. Rail Financial, right? Look at what they've done. Hidden Road, G Treasury. Now you got Evernorth. Yeah, I think Georgios Vlachos has got it right spot on there, Georgios. I believe so. We need to get him to XRP Las Vegas 26. He had a travel issue. He wasn't able to make it. But I tell you, he is a fantastic person to listen to in this space. He's so smart. We need to get him on stage this year. But to the point of DeFi and bringing yield bearing opportunities to XRP, this is a remarkable time for us. But this is also a moment, too, that puts even more pressure on the banking industry, which for over a decade has been watching all of their customers take money out of the account so they can go buy crypto on a platform that the banks could never use or offer, right? That's where we're at here. But you think that gets more intense or less intense when you have people like Axel or companies like Axelar and others beginning to offer DeFi opportunities, which is direct banking opportunities, right? That never existed before. So I think the banks are going to come rolling in just as fast as you could see the DeFi products on this side rolling in. $1.6 trillion Bank of America says U.S. banks will soon embrace crypto payments. And I bet it's a lot more than that. I can tell you that. As in fact, JP Morgan will now let institutional clients use Bitcoin and Ethereum as collateral. Remember when he said, hell no?
Trades, why it trades, who trades it. If you're stupid enough to buy it, you'll pay the price for it one day.
That's what he thought about Bitcoin and crypto. And now all of a sudden, we're at a place where it no longer is a big deal because
And what you're doing with it.
JP Morgan to allow Bitcoin and Ether as collateral and crypto push. Yep. Isn't that something? Isn't that something? JP Morgan's also going to be at Ripple Swell. There they are right there. Yeah. So much for that pet rock business, right? And because we know there's a final message from Swift, and it is the Big Bang cutover, which happens in next month, which is really just a week away here. Take a listen.
For me, my final message is that ISO 20022 and the migration and the end date for November 2025 is critical. It's critical for domestic and cross-border interoperability and really will support all of the community to deliver more rich and structured data and really optimize our cross-border payments processing.
There you have it right there. That's directly from Swift. That's happening next month. Write that one down, right? And the banks are getting ready to start using crypto for payments. And I bet you it isn't going to be long when they get that market infrastructure bill passed. They're going to start offering DeFi opportunities. You'll never have to leave the bank. You just have to push a button and participate. That's what's coming. That's what's coming. And on a more geopolitical level, remember when President Trump said anybody joining BRICS is going to get tariffed? Well, BRICS to convert US dollar loans into Chinese yuan. Look who's testing the waters. Well, it starts with BRICS member Ethiopia. They're in talks with China to convert $5.38 billion worth of loans from the US dollar into the Chinese yuan. And why are they doing it? They're doing it because of the cost. That's why they're doing it. Paying in the yuan-denominated loans helps Ethiopia save millions in foreign exchange rates. You know, I just told this story when I did the TEDx. And I was a global importer for a time in my life because I invented a product for the beach, had a little beach company that I created while I was touring and playing music. And every time I sent money overseas, I'd end up having to pay thousands of dollars in differences in currency differentials. And that was through the Chinese bank, right? So this is really going to be something. So I would imagine there's going to be obviously some blowback towards Ethiopia. They should know that that's coming, right? Welcome to tariffs. They're coming. And we'll see how this goes and if it continues and if other BRIC member nations begin to do the same, because I do believe we're going to see a grand global economic reordering, just as the current U.S. Treasurer Secretary has said, right? And I do believe BRICS members will be a coalition of their own, just like we have the SEPA payment system over in Europe. Just like we have FedWire and FedNow in the United States and so on, with these siloed islands around the world connected by the XRP ledger globally. That's how I see it. and everybody could have a private version thereof as well. But we need that market infrastructure bill, and we're supposed to get it because Brian Armstrong says there's 90%. We're 90% there, ladies and gentlemen, so we should get it, and he's calling for the markup by Thanksgiving. Take a quick listen here.
Hey everyone, Brian Armstrong here. I'm back in DC, and even though the government is shut down, the Senate is working hard on getting market structure legislation passed for crypto, which is great to see. I attended some meetings this morning with both the Senate Dems, the Senate Republicans, and I'd say they're 90% on the same page. There's draft text being shared back and forth between both parties. Both sides want to get this done. That last 10%, there's a couple remaining issues open, like, for instance, DeFi. We want to make sure that we're pushing to protect DeFi and all the innovation potential that can have, and that the centralized intermediaries in crypto, like Coinbase, should be regulated, not the protocols. And then, of course, we're making sure to preserve stablecoin rewards for you as well. The big banks are coming for their cash grab, trying to block that, even though it was just recently decided in the Genius Act, which just recently became law. We're not going to let them relitigate that. So with these last few issues getting wrapped up, we're hoping to see this bill come out of committee by Thanksgiving. That would be a great outcome. Fingers crossed. We're going to keep showing up for your rights, and we'll keep you updated. Thanks.
There you have it right there. We're getting down to it, ladies and gentlemen. That's 1 month away. That's 1 month away. And America and crypto are about to change the world. We know this. That's what the market infrastructure is going to do. How many times have I talked about it? It's going to be just as powerful as the Telecommunications Act of 1996. That's what we're going to see.
At the Coinbase State of Crypto Summit, I'm delighted to speak to some of the greatest visionaries and pioneers in the fields of tech and finance who are working to build a future powered by crypto. Many have called me the first crypto president. That's an honor. I really do consider that a very big honor, actually. And starting on day one, we ended the Biden administration's war on crypto. It was an absolute war and very unfair. And we unleashed American innovators to do what you do best, lead the world into new frontiers. We ended Operation Choke Point 2.0. I created the first presidential working group on digital assets. I named a pro-freedom, pro-innovation SEC chair, a great man named Paul Atkins, and we created the U.S. Strategic Bitcoin Reserve and the United States Digital Asset Stockpile.
That is incredible right there. And I do believe we're going to hear more on that in 2026, but we got to get that market infrastructure bill done first, and then it's going to be a full court press on it. But you know what? Coming back to the idea that Ripple's creating an empire, yeah, again, Ripple buying Hidden Road, Ripple buying Rail Financial, which does 10% of all stablecoin right now, right? Ripple buying G Treasury does 12.5 trillion in a 120 trillion market. Ripple backing Evernorth to raise 1 billion for the world's largest XRP Treasury, which will be on NASDAQ in 26. This is a Ripple empire, and they're building an empire for the world that's coming, not the one that we're living in. And that's the one that we're prepared for as well. And here is Ashish Birla, the CEO formerly of Ripple, explaining what they're doing here.
Hey everyone, I'm Ashish Birla. Some of you may know me from my years at Ripple, where I helped Brad and the team bring blockchain to the real-world payments. But today, I want to share more about Evernorth, a new kind of company built to provide institutional investors and public markets with exposure to XRP. Think of it as a publicly traded XRP treasury that gives investors simple, regulated, and liquid exposure to XRP. But with a twist, we aim to collectively grow our XRP holdings, and what we generate from the treasury will be used to purchase more XRP for the treasury. We've built an incredible team of leaders from crypto, capital markets, and finance. People who have been at the forefront of innovation, regulation, and risk management for years. Together, we're committed to building something enduring for the long term. And we're backed by a world-class group of investors and leaders, including SBI, Ripple, Arrington Capital, Pantera Capital, and Kraken. firms that share our conviction in XRP's future. So why now? For the first time, XRP has clear regulatory standing in the United States, opening the door for large-scale adoption. Evernorth is positioned to be the trusted, transparent bridge to the public markets. This is just the beginning, and I couldn't be more excited to build this together with the community at every turn. Follow along. We're excited for what's ahead.
There you have it right there. We're excited too, Ashish, no doubt about it. And what a view this is right here while we're waiting for all of this to unfold, from the government shutdown to the market infrastructure bill, right, to the ETF approvals, to Evernorth taking off, to the Ripple Bank charter, to the Ripple Fed master account, just to name a few, right? This is where we sit, ladies and gentlemen. I couldn't be more excited. Not financial advice from me or anyone else. I'll catch all of you on the next one.